Creating jobs this morning is Mr. Austin Nweze. He's of the School of Media and Communications, Pan-African University. Good to have you join us again.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, before we really go into all of that, the big news yesterday was about the Senate okaying 14 years jail term for gay marriages.
In fact, when I heard the news, it gladdened my heart. Because the British Prime Minister at the Commonwealth event a few weeks ago was talking to African leaders as if they were kids, and about if they don't respect gay marriage and all that, and that no aid will be given. Forgetting that Africa had been giving them aid. Africa developed Europe, developed America. So what is it that what aid are they giving to Africa to warrant that kind of comment?
So, Dr. Nweze, you're giving a pass mark to the Senate.
Oh yeah, is one of the, and I think it's the first bill that the 7th Assembly is passing, and it's quite on time. And I think that comment fast tracked the whole process, and I give kudos to the Senate, and they should even do it. And the aspect is that if you run, because there was one young guy, came from the UK, set up a gay church somewhere, and set up nightclub and all that. And I'm happy what Fashola did. They went after him and shut down the whole place. And you can do it in the UK, you can do it in any other place, but not Nigeria. No, it's against our culture, and I give kudos to the Senate.
Okay, now to our main course. We've always talked about this time and again, but this time we're doing this because the President has actually talked about it, and he has to tie that with what he calls a revolution, staring us in the face if we don't act fast to get more jobs for the people.
Yeah, I think for the first time, the President is beginning to tell us the truth. And like one former American president said that when you tell the people the truth, the nation is saved. So I believe that Nigeria will be saved once the leaders begin to tell us the truth, just like the president said. And that is the job issue. There is going to be huge revolution. And let me say this. The revolution that will come is not just Nigeria. It's a global thing. Everywhere, job issue and all that. And you find that if the job issue is not handled, there's, let me say, a tribe in somewhere in South America, very close to Spain, called Maya, the Mayan tribe. They're gifted to dating, and they have said by December 21st that a major catastrophe is going to happen, global. And job issue is one of them. And Jonathan, I believe, is keen into that there will be a revolution. But the degree and the form or the type of revolution we're talking about, it might not be arms. It might not be, it could be a silent one that has been taking place. It could be that what senior colleague Dr. Christopher Kolade told us over lunch some time ago, that his fear after going to Banana Island is that, the kind of structures, the kind of opulence, lifestyle that some people are living, that the young unemployed people might actually come to these homes and ask the owners to leave the homes. If they refuse, might, pay with their lives, occupying these houses, that these people are living.
Well, the President talks about policies. He says they should come up with policies that will create jobs. But our last guest here, Mr. Sami Koko, did talk about programs, that specifically some of these programs have failed. And if you look at it, these programs, embedded in such programs are the policies, the aims, objectives of the government. How can we start to revive such programs or some existing programs? Are they enough for us to really get these jobs for the people?
Yeah. One is, I remember as a practicing journalist and a publisher of a magazine, I interviewed the late Senator Fred Brume, who just died and all that. And one thing he told me, he got very first-class material, went to US and came back and was working, with the one of the banks, government banks, and he was seconded to World Bank. And he was part of the team that puts economic plan for South Korea. Fred Brume. He was part of that team. And he was also part of the team that put up Nigeria's second national development plan. The same program that was fashioned for South Korea. South Korea had been able to transform, implement those policies, and then moved from the level, Nigeria was even better than South Korea in the 60s. But they were at the same level. But because of that program, they have implemented, and look at South Korea today, industrialized. And Nigeria, we're still battling.
You think it's a lack of programs for us, or a lack of policies?
It's not even the programs. Nigerians have a way of coming up with creative, ingenious programs. But it's like we don't have the right education to implement those things. Because one thing, it boils down to education. Policymakers, one way or the other, they forget that they don't take cognizance of our environment, that our environment is. And that's why you have brilliant economists in the corridors of power. But they're making the wrong economic policies. Because the kind of education is not for our environment, it's not for developing countries. Okay? And then you need followers, the citizens, who don't even have the right enough education in quantity and quality to be able to understand some of these policies that the government is making for us. So it's a two-way thing. We need the right education so that the policymakers will know the right policies to make for us.
Okay, when you finish educating the people, or when you finish educating the people, I'll come back to the issue of education. What about the issue of capital?
Now, you see, you can't finish educating the people.
Okay.
You keep on educating them, and then the issue of capital should come. Is a very crucial thing. But there are things you can also do without capital. It's education will tell you, look, like a friend of mine, Lolu Akinwumi, the CEO of Prima Ghana, one of the top 5 agencies in Nigeria. When he started, he didn't have the money. But they had enough education to say, okay, look, I can go to a leasing company to lease computers. The money they paid him out from his former place of work, he was able to get a space. Okay, he went to a generating company, a generator seller, and got a lease. It requires education to do that. And then he was able to. He started with less than 600.
What kind of education are we talking about here? In educating the people, what should you be doing?
In educating, look, we're talking about how many of them have the right acumen to handle business. How many of them can think of creative ways of doing? There's something going on right now in the school, and some of these entrepreneurs are being, trained and how to manage. They're already doing business. Now, when a friend of mine, the Lady Mechanic Initiative founder, Sandra, she had opportunity to attend one of the courses, and she said to me that she knows most of those things. And I said to her, get into the classroom, you don't know everything. And a couple of days ago, I saw her in school, and she said, look, it was a good decision that she decided to attend the program. Okay? Because there are things. What separates a trader from an entrepreneur? There are two things. One is the financial discipline. The other is management discipline. Those are the two things that separate them apart. Because if you're a trader, you don't understand the financial discipline, and especially the personal finance is the root to entrepreneurship.
Our last guest, spoke about introducing entrepreneurial skills, into educational curriculum. Do you support that?
Of course. Personally, without blowing my own horn, in the 90s, far back as 1990 and all that, I had started talking about entrepreneurship, even when the teaching of entrepreneurship was just 10, 15 years old in the US. I started talking about it in this country. I started publishing the first magazine on entrepreneurship, highlighting role models, because we lack role models in this. And the issue of apprenticeship.
How does that help? Because he talked about the same thing about role models, so that somehow all the individuals who were once upon a time role models have just fizzled out, and we never had replacements.
Yeah, because one is the issue of focus on making money rather than building businesses. That focus shifted, and now you find that the old generation who had the spirit of enterprise, could not even, and there was nothing like mentoring. You have to hold someone in the hand and show him the way, and that was what I was trying to highlight. Picking up successful entrepreneurs, not in terms of the quantum of cash they had, but somebody that could tell, I was interested, I'm still interested in the process of the entrepreneurial process. How did you get to where you are today, rather than looking at how much money you have today? It's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is that spirit that, because entrepreneurs are co-creators with God. When God finished creation, He handed the baton of creation to the entrepreneur. They will conceive ideas and bring it to fruition, something that never existed. Okay, so they're co-creators with God, and these people should be encouraged. These people should be, should be empowered one way or the other.